Welcome to the Kingdom Educators Podcast, where we empower Christian teachers to grab a hold of heaven's hope-filled perspective so you can activate transformational impact in your classroom and community. I'm your host, Jessica Glover, and I warmly welcome you to wake up to your strategic placement as a kingdom educator, anointed by the Creator and equipped by all of heaven to release the radical goodness of God that will transform lives and reshape education. Welcome back to the Kingdom Educators Podcast. This is Jessica Glover, and I know many of you are finishing up your spring break this week. I hope that you were refreshed and got some time with family and friends to take care of your heart and even look at some of those dreams that God may have put on your heart earlier this year that you may have forgotten about. And we're looking to finish this school year strong. As we are continuing this unit with teacher resources, I am really excited to introduce to you a new friend of mine that I met about a year and a half ago. This is Dalena Wallace here with me today. Welcome, Dalena.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I wanted to introduce you to Dalena today because she just really has a passion that began with empowering other homeschool parents. She's been a homeschool mom for 13 years or so, but empowering them in the things they do in the classroom in their homes. But it is now developed to this bigger dream of empowering people who have a heart to start schools. And I believe that there's people listening to this podcast like you who may have a little percolation in your heart or a dream that God put there about starting a school that propels the kingdom in some way. And so I wanted Dalena to come on because she is doing so many neat projects. You guys need to hear about them. And so Dalena, I just want to thank you again for giving your time today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you just share with us a little bit more about that passion that grew within you as a homeschool mom to empower other teachers and how that grew into the starting a school idea?
Of course. Yes, I'm so happy to be on this show and to be speaking to your listeners who I believe are probably educators and Christians and trying to figure out how do things go hand in hand, especially when we're, put in a situation where we might not feel like we're fully able to speak out and to love on the kids the way we want to and to thrive in the classroom setting that we're in. So as you mentioned, I come from a homeschooling background. I'm a homeschool mom. I don't believe it is the answer and the only way. And I know a lot of families that can't homeschool and don't want to homeschool, and that's not an option for them. But I do believe as Christians that we are called to be very careful in what our children are being taught. And as parents, it's important for us to guard that. And as educators and as those who are called, especially kingdom educators who are called to shine the light of Christ, what does that look like for each family? It might look like homeschooling. It might look like they're actually in a public school setting. And that's why it's important to have Christians in the classroom and the public schools as well. It might look like a private school option. And of course, we know that not every family can afford a traditional private school and a Christian school that aligns with their faith and their values. But I have been so inspired to see that there is this movement. There is this like new thing that I feel like that the Lord is doing where he's calling educators. He's calling them to start their own, what I call a creative Christian learning environment. So it might look like a micro school, which is just a small version. Like sometimes it's a one-room classroom or one-room schoolhouse model. It might look like a hybrid school where you're serving students part-time and the other days a week they're homeschooling. It can be like online, a virtual school program, whatever it is. But if you're a Christian and you feel like the Lord is stirring something different inside of you, and he's saying, I have you in this place for a season, or you've been here for this long, but I have a new thing. And he is doing a new thing. Like, I love it. There's a verse in Isaiah that talks about, behold, I am doing a new thing. And that's just what I'm seeing. And so I connect with and support those Christian educators who have started their own creative Christian learning environment.
Which is so exciting. And I forgot to say, Dalena, we are both in Kansas. She's in Hutchinson, Kansas, but she serves teachers all over. in different capacities. And one of the neat roles that you have is you had started this business called AIM, where you actually offer consulting. Will you talk a little bit about that service, as it might be really useful for people and even in their dreaming stage? But I know it kind of walks people through the different stages of school growth.
Right. So my business, AIM Educational Collaborative, mostly I contract with and I offer services for organizations that are supporting the educators and the growth of this movement of innovative
Hmm.
education. But what I do, because I know it's so important, is I partner with these consulting agencies that are the coaches and the consultants.
Okay.
One that I highly recommend is Soaring Education Services. They have launched and helped people launch traditional Christian schools for decades, and they've launched hundreds. And now they're kind of seeing that there's these micro schools starting up. And so they started a division, which is the Soaring Education Services, and they help provide the coaching and consulting.
Okay.
So, but what I do when people say that they want to start a school is I introduce them to other school founders in the area and I connect them in a network. So we have a couple of different networks across Kansas.
Hmm.
The one that I helped to found, I'm the founder of WISE, that's Wichita Innovative Schools and Educators.
Hmm.
There's a network there of almost 30 school founders.
Wow.
And it was really interesting as I was reaching out to these school founders, not even realizing or knowing that this was something that the Lord was kind of starting me on this new track of this ministry. I started connecting with them and learning their story and hearing from them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like truly 90% of the school founders that I have met are Christians.
Wow.
And they said to me, their story is that God called me
Yeah.
to start a school. He asked me to start a school. And I'm like, really? This is amazing. And they all thought that they were alone and
Wow.
that they were like the only one doing it. They didn't know that he was also calling all these others to start schools. And what they do is, and what I view them as
Hmm.
missionaries, what they are is they are out there in the mission field, similar to those who are in the classroom, but these are outside of the traditional public school classroom,
Yeah.
starting their own schools. So I really felt compelled to ask the body of Christ and the church as a whole to recognize this movement, to recognize this as a ministry
Yeah.
opportunity and the mission field, and to get behind them and to support them and encourage them. So that's kind of my role in supporting those who started or want to start these new schools.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys can see why I would have Dalena on here. She's like the hub connector. I just think it's so neat how God put this thing on your heart, and it's like, how can I connect people with the resource that they need to make this dream come to pass? And while you're doing it, you find out there's all these Christians with the same heart to start these schools, and then
Right.
just knowing, oh, you're not alone. Let me connect you with so and so. I just love that. Okay, so another facet then is this whole connection piece with, well, the church kind of waking up to, ooh, how can we be
Right.
a part of supporting these educators? And so I know that's a huge piece of what you do, is kind of connecting churches with
Right.
individuals in our community here. However, this is a very repeatable model that can go to other
Yeah.
places. And Dalena, you know, people listen from all over the US and beyond to Kingdom Educators. And so could you share a little bit of your dream about, yeah, what Hero is,
Sure.
please?
Yes, I would be so happy to. Yes. So Hero is kind of the extension of it. It was like birthed out of my interactions with these other school founders. And in the WISE group, the Wichita group, there was a mix of secular and Christian educators. But I really felt that the Lord was saying, I want you to support my people doing my work out there.
Yeah.
And so I started HERO. It stands for Heartland Education Reformation
I
Organization.
love that.
And what I really started to feel is that this is truly a reformation, that the Lord is up to something big and we get to be a part of
Yeah.
it. And so my call to the church is simply, first of all, did you know this is even happening?
Right.
I want to just shine a light on all that they're doing. And I do that through podcasts. So I have a podcast as well. And you've been a guest on my
Yes.
podcast.
Yes.
Mine is called Wise and Otherwise.
Hmm.
And it is specifically focused on Kansas and what's happening, what's trending in education in Kansas. I did a really long series on specifically on church based and church supported micro schools. But I also touch on policy. I touch on people who are serving on school boards and what's happening in public schools and what is our role as Christians in
Mhm.
education in general.
Yeah.
How can we get engaged? So through the Hero Project, we're doing something so cool, so exciting, something I never ever in 1,000 years thought I would be a part of. But we are doing a documentary. It's like a
Yes.
full feature, full length film. Well, okay, it's an hour or so,
But
but
that pretty much qualifies as a full film, right?
it is. It is. It's so incredible. So the Lord's just really blessed these efforts as I'm trying to tell this story. And He partnered me up with Matt Lowry. He's with ICT Creative, and he is a videographer and has a crew and he has a business, but he has a ministry side of things. And the Lord called him and asked him to tell the story of what I'm doing on the earth.
Wow.
And so he felt called to tell what God's up to.
Yeah.
And of course, he didn't quite know what God was up to in education until, we met. The two of us got together, and then we had the provisions to really invest in this film. And so we've been interviewing, oh goodness, I don't even know, maybe 20 or so individuals, pastors and school founders and educators. We're seeing what they're doing. We're highlighting their school. And we're going to have a big film premiere at the Orpheum Theater.
Woo.
This is downtown Wichita. We rented out the theater.
So
It's
cool.
just going to be a great celebration. Again, it's just to tell what the Lord is doing.
Yeah.
And I like to say He's up to something big, and we get to be a part of that.
Yes. Yes. I love that. It's so good. And these people that are coming to watch the film, Dalena, they're coming from everything from they've never heard about it, right? All the way to like
Right.
they're one of the people that got interviewed.
Right. Yeah. And probably some of the students that
Yes.
are attending these, private Christian schools. And when
Yeah.
I say Christian schools, I want to clarify something too, which I think is very interesting and worth exploring and
Hmm.
discussing. Many of these school founders, they are Christians. They're doing this as a ministry, but they're doing this as an outreach. And so they
Mm.
might not even be naming and classifying their school as a Christian school,
Hmm.
which I think is wonderful. It's intentional. And what that is because they don't want to exclude students or families who otherwise, if it said Christian on there, they might not feel like they fit in and that they should attend a school like that. But leaving it open and leaving it general with the mindset of knowing full well this is a ministry
Yeah.
and an outreach opportunity. So they're bringing in students from unchurched families.
Yes.
So it's just amazing. So not all of them would have the classification of a Christian school, but you can believe that these Christians are doing it with purpose and with heart.
Yes. Okay. So I was kind of excited about this part of your advertising for the film project too, and thought this would be a neat idea for teachers who are maybe launching or organizations, churches that might be listening as well. But how, Dalena, did you come up with this piece with the scholarship idea? Will you kind of go into that and the partnership with churches? Because that
Yeah.
is so great, even with the
Yes.
mission of getting to invite these families
Yes.
in who may not otherwise have connection with the word.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Will you share with us?
Absolutely. It is the next step. And it's just become so clear. Again, the Lord has brought provision and provided clarity and support and funds to offer scholarships for these students to attend
Yeah.
these schools. So in our Hero Network, we have 18 schools right now, and we are able to provide scholarships. We have a fund of $100,000 currently, which
Wow.
is just what a gift, what a blessing. And then we're also doing some matching grant opportunities. What we want to encourage is that the church, we want the local church, we want the body of Christ to recognize that they do have a part in this. And a lot of churches, they're missing an opportunity, and I don't want them to miss an opportunity to see this as missions. And so if the church can contribute, a lot of our schools range, they're less than the more traditional private Christian schools, but they can still be out of reach for some
Yeah.
families. There's anywhere from $3,000 up to $7,000. So in that
Okay.
range, if church were to match or to send $5,000 and put that in the Hero budget, we could match it, we could double it,
Wow.
and we could send 2 students,
Okay.
or we could give them up to 75% of their tuition costs.
Yeah.
So I'm partnering with another scholarship fund and hopefully prayerfully even going to increase the fund that's
Wow.
there and just encouraging the body of Christ to donate to that. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so can I ask you for the initial $100,000 that you were able to get, are those just private donors and it built up to that? Or is that also you found grants or things to build to that amount?
So far, private donors.
Wow.
We are working in, we're starting grant writing right
Okay.
now to go that route as
Mhm.
well. But then we're also trying to get the word out to churches, and however I can do that through our podcast. So, a lot of
Mhm.
it is in marketing.
Yeah.
As you know, just the storytelling and
Yes.
highlighting this movement and building content.
Okay.
So we have our blog articles, our podcast, of course, this documentary,
Mhm.
our website highlights these. We have a directory of our schools.
Yeah.
Any way that I can show what's happening out there and then just get in front of churches. Like I would
Yeah.
literally go door to door anytime there's an opportunity, like speak and talk to the pastors or the elders at that church and let them know. There is one of our school founders, our hero school
Mhm.
members, who's up in Wetmore,
Okay.
Kansas, and she is just all over this. She's got 3 churches already partnering with her
Wow.
little school in her tiny little community. And she's on fire. She's like, I know other pastors need to hear this message.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you having me
Yes.
to help spread the word about this for sure.
Well, and it's just not only is it neat for our local area and anyone listening from here, but like I said at the beginning of the show, I just think that in this hour, we're having so much shift and change, but there's also a lot of change in people's hearts, especially since 2020, but even before then, on like, Lord, where are you calling me? Am I to stay? If I'm in public education, am I supposed to stay? What do I do when I have my own children? What's best for them? Am I to step out and
Right.
train them and invest in
Mhm.
my own children full time? Or do I stay where I'm at? Do I move to private? There's a lot of people praying about what to do next. And I do
Yep.
believe, Delena, that this hour, there are many that are being called to step into leadership or admin positions where they could start a school. And not necessarily that
Right.
you have to have the degree, but I believe God equips us when he gives us those dreams or puts those things on our heart, like he has with you, and connecting you with even
Yep.
ICT Creative and telling Matt what he was going to do, and then him getting to be exposed to the story. And then you guys are being able to tell through a movie, which is so powerful.
Yes.
And then just
It's so
spread
fun.
the word. But I just think that God's doing this in other places, other states as well. And so being able to
Right.
connect people.
Exactly. And one of the things I didn't really mention so much about my own personal background as a homeschooling mom is that the reason I'm so passionate about this movement is because I have experienced it. Like I am working off of my pain point personally as a mom who has tried to educate my children. My older 2 kids, now it'll be my third. My oldest 3 will be attending private
Oh,
schools
okay.
when they're in the high school
Hmm.
level.
Okay.
So I kind of hit this point of like, oh, I don't think I can do this without additional support, without help.
Hmm.
So these hybrid models
Yes.
and these small micro schools, I had a micro school I started in my home and it was serving 10 students total.
Wow.
I started a homeschool
Okay.
co-op going into our 9th year with that co-op. And I believe that those are the sorts of things that we need. And I want parents to know that they have options. And
Hmm.
if they're feeling called to homeschool and educate their children on their own, they don't have to do it alone. And if they're called to educate children outside of their own children, maybe their kids plus more,
Hmm.
then they have options too. And they can be creative about how that looks.
I love that there's a freedom to put together what best works for your family, like a puzzle piece, like figuring out what, because we know
Yes.
every kid is
Yes.
so different. They don't fit in the same box.
Yes. Right.
We've got some that
Right.
need this one thing and then others need another. And okay, so
Yeah.
looking at, well, number one, you're just this wealth of resources, but just looking at our different listeners, Delena, I'm thinking about, where would people go who, let's just start out with that dream. Like, I'm thinking about maybe starting a school. Like, this is kind of percolating in my heart. Where would you send them?
So I would actually send them to our Hero
Okay.
website, and that's heartlandhero.org. And so on there, you will see help and support. You can connect with the Soaring Education Services for coaching and consulting. I love what they do is like book a call with them
Yes.
to just dreamcast, to just like say, this is what I'm thinking. What are my next steps and where do I
Yeah.
go? So heartlandhero.org. And I think maybe what has been inspiring for me and what I hear from others, why the networking is so important is because people are inspired by the stories of what other people are doing.
Yes.
And that really, I feel like the Lord just kind of fans this flame inside of us
Mhm.
when we hear what others are doing. I know that was the case for me.
Yeah.
Um, so on there, you can see we have our little YouTube channel with some of our shorts and videos and our podcast. Again, that's Wise and Otherwise. And that would be a great place to start. Obviously, look up on the website there. You can sign up to watch the trailer for the Hero
Mhm.
film. And then once it comes out and officially launches after our premiere, we will have the link to watch the full length video there too.
Awesome. Okay. And then tell us what the date is in case we're in this area, because people would love to
Yes.
attend in person.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. I'm so excited about it. So April 13th, it's
Mhm.
Sunday, and it's at 3 p.m. It's just going to be a great time. We're going to have a mix of people in there in the audience, and we went big because God is big, and we just really want to celebrate what He's doing in this really fun way by going to this old historic theater and
Yes.
just shining a light on everybody and the work that they're doing.
Now, at the event, can people give toward the project or scholarship funds? Is there an admission fee?
There's no admission fee. It's free to come. We'd appreciate an RSVP, which is just on our
Mhm.
website. We have a link there to RSVP. It's just a head count thing, but no tickets required. Come in. And yes, we will absolutely have opportunities to give. On our website, we also have direct contributions. Like you can contribute any funds directly to a school of your choice. If there's one particular school, they have their own donation page on there. If you would rather give to the scholarship fund, which again, we can double the impact through matching grants, then you can do that through our website as well.
Okay.
And we'll have opportunities the day of event. So
Very cool. Because I know it was earlier, actually, maybe it was last summer. I interviewed Candace Fisher from Freedom Preparatory, and
oh,
we talked
right.
a little bit about her dream and having worked originally in public education and how God like put it in her heart for like 10 years. And she would dream and write curriculum and write how she would put together her own school. And then COVID came about and the Lord's like, jump now.
It's
Yeah. And so
time.
I love those stories. And like you said, the more we hear the testimony, just like Revelation 19:10, the testimony of Jesus breathes a spirit of prophecy over us about if it can happen for you, it can happen for me. And that's so encouraging to hear those. So please, people, tune into Wise and Otherwise
That's
podcast
right.
with
Yep.
Dalena. And she's interviewing all kinds of interesting people and their ideas about starting micro schools and different even styles of schools. I've learned a lot listening to the episodes I've tuned into. So I'm just excited for you to all get connected with these resources. I will put them in the show notes for us. And I hope if you're in the area that you'll join us to see the Hero Project, a movie premiere on April 13th at
Yes.
3 p.m. at the Orpheum Theater. It's going to be a lot of fun and it'll be a neat way to connect with different people and give if God puts that on your heart as well. Because so many
Absolutely.
families are
Yeah.
needing an alternative piece of education. So if you're someone who can help support, that would be greatly appreciated. Dalena, is there anything I may have left out that you want to tell folks who are pursuing alternative education or beginning services?
Right. Well, I will just include my email
Oh,
address.
yes.
That's probably the best way to get in touch with me if you have questions.
Mhm.
I'm always happy to answer. We can set up a call. I'm happy to meet with you and just share ideas and brainstorm and be that thought partner
Mhm.
in this process. And I feel like I'm like the number one cheerleader behind all of our hero school founders. I believe they are true heroes.
Yeah.
And so you need a cheerleader and someone to support you. You can email me at delena.aimeducationks.com.
Awesome.
So it's kind of a mouthful. Maybe you can put it in your
Oh, I will.
your notes.
Yes, I will definitely do that. Yes. And you are an amazing cheerleader. Thank you so much for your time. And don't forget, people who are listening, to make sure that podcasts that you love, that you make sure and like them, write a review and share them, because this is how we get good news out about the things that God's doing in the world of education. So whether that's Wise and Otherwise or another podcast you love, Kingdom Educators, because that's how people hear about the resources that we're putting out. So thank you for tuning in today. Dalena, thank you for your time, and make sure you take a look at these show notes today and get included. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into this podcast. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends in education so they too can be strengthened and encouraged in living their kingdom identity out loud in this pivotal hour. And please visit kingdomeducators.com to receive your Kingdom Educator Daily Truth Declarations, my encouraging newsletter, and be the first to know about my newest resources online and in-person events. And be sure to find me on the socials at kingdom.educators. Until next time, don't forget you are a history maker, and what you do every day is transforming lives.